Hello everyone, welcome to Appreciating Poetry. This is on John Donne and Metaphysical Poetry. As we all know, 17th century in English literature was a period that witnessed great changes. The writers of the 17th century revolted against the features of Renaissance and its impacts on man's life. They wanted to express their new thoughts in some new and novel ways. This endeavor caused to emerge a new form of writing, namely metaphysical poetry. Metaphysical poetry, in the full sense of the term, is poetry which, like the Divine Comedy, has been inspired by a philosophical conception of the universe and the role assigned to the human spirit in the great drama of existence. It expounds a coherent system of philosophy. John Donne, as well as the poets who followed his technique and style, expounds no such system of philosophy. His primary concern is feeling. The central theme of his poems is intense personal moods. His philosophy cannot unify these experiences. Metaphysical poetry deals with metaphysical subjects such as the nature of the universe, movements of planets and stars, and the relationship of man to God. So, Donne is not metaphysical in the sense as Dante, Lucretius, or Epicurus. He is not metaphysical in the strict philosophical sense. Donne is metaphysical in the literary sense. It denotes a specific style rather than philosophy. When John Dryden, Dr. Johnson, and Dowden called Donne a metaphysical poet, they had his style in mind. When De Quincey disagreed with them, he had Donne's subject matter in mind. The term metaphysical was first time used by John Dryden, the father of English criticism and author of works like Preface to Fables. John Dryden opines, Donne affects metaphysical not only in his satires but in his amorous verses. Amorous verses means love poems, where nature only should reign and perplexes the mind of fair sex with nice speculations of philosophy. And Dr. Johnson, lexicographer, father of English dictionary, author of works like Lives of Poets, Preface to Shakespeare, says, referring to the poetry of Donne, the most heterogeneous ideas are yoked by violence together. What Donne did in his works, he was trying to join ideas that are entirely opposite. Metaphysical poets were men of learning, and to show their learning was their whole endeavor. The writers who belonged to the group called metaphysical, they were really scholars, and their attempt was to display their scholarship in their writing. Now, coming to the features of metaphysical poetry. The first one, the metaphysical poets were opposed to the current sensibility. It revolted against Spencerian, Petrarchan, and Platonic ideals in poetry. It is anti idealizing, possibly because such ideals were impossible. T.S. Eliot found Donne modern in many aspects. Its treatment of love is unconventional. The age was noted for poets like Petrarch, who adored and sentimentalized. Donne refused to deal in smooth melodies, in moral parables, in translated passions, or in poor Petrarch's woes. He is, one many say with some diffidence, anti romantic and anti Petrarchan. Donne proclaimed his revolt with a resounding trumpet sound. I sing not siren, like to tempt, for I am harsh. Second feature is mixing of emotions. To the romantics, emotion is pure, but the metaphysicals are down to earth realists. All emotion in Donne are mixed. If there is love, there is hatred too. We find fascination and scornful anger inextricably blended. Third feature is intellectuality. The metaphysicals as a whole have an appeal to the elite. Wo- World of knowledge is not anathema to them. It was necessary to think and read. No one could be born a metaphysical poet. It is not poetry felt in blood and felt along the heart. These are lines from Wordsworth's Indian Abbey. Poetry felt in the blood and felt along the heart. In John Donne, we find references to astronomy, alchemy, chemistry, an expanding universe of exploration. He is familiar with definitions of medieval scholasticism. He is aware of the clash between the older physics and metaphysics on the one hand, and the new science of Copernicus, Galileo, and Bacon on the other. Fourth feature is, of course, the most important use of conceits and far fetched images, metaphysical conceits. Conceit is a comparison whose ingenuity is more striking, or at least is more immediately striking than its justness. A comparison becomes a conceit when we are made to concede likeness while being strongly conscious of unlikeness. There are extended conceits like the comparison of lovers to a pair of compasses, or like Corliss's comparison of making love to different women to traveling through different lands, or condense conceits like evening spread out against the sky like a patient etherized upon a table. Then is an immortal image maker. We have the phoenix, the spider love, the flea, lovers lying like sepulchral statues, sick body becoming a map, and physician a cosmographer. No wonder Dr. Johnson was horrified. The most heterogeneous ideas are yoked by violence together. Coming to the fifth feature, it is wit, metaphysical wit. The occult resemblances which Dr. Johnson used in a derogatory sense are the very essence of metaphysical wit, which are fully exploited by Donne. Wit is effect of conceit. Donne leaves to nature all that I in a rhyme have writ, and to my company my wit. Thomas Carew call him the universal monarchy of wit. Wit of Donne is the intenseness, vigor, wonder, and peculiarity of thought exercised on subjects unexpectedly. Sixth one, unified sensibility. A distinctive note of the metaphysical poetry is a blend of passionate feeling and paradoxical ratiocination, a unification of feeling and thinking. There persists a mechanism of sensibility which could devour any kind of experience. Eliot attributed the obscurity in metaphysical poetry to this unification of sensibility. In John Donne, we find the amalgamation of disparate experiences. He connects the abstract with the concrete, physical with spiritual, remote with near, sublime with commonplace. And the seventh one, argumentativeness. Metaphysical poems quintessence in the vivid imagining of a moment of experience out of which the need to argue arises. Apart from these important ones, one can easily point out many other characteristics like the use of hyperbole and the use of a harsh tone to approximate the language of poetry to direct unconventional colloquial speech. So his piety becomes a hard nut to crack, hard surfaced. It seems to be striving to find a rhythm that will express the passionate fullness of his mind, the fluxes and influxes of his mind. Their fondness for analysis, which broke an image into bits, led them to the dissection of emotion. They were always analytic. The rapid association of thought, telescoping of images, and multiplied association and elaboration of a figure to the farthest stage to which ingenuity can carry it make the poems difficult to read. Donne is fond of abrupt personal openings in which a man speaks to his mistress or God or calls us to mark this or see that or set a scene. An element of anti heroism or unheroism too is visible in him. In short, metaphysical poetry is a direct sensuous appreciation of thought or recreation of thought into feeling, an emotional apprehension of thought expressed in a grotesque style. Dunce's love poems. His love poems are, to a large extent, the uninhibited record of many love affairs and lifelong friendships he had with women like Anne More, Luce Bedford, McGurran Herbert, Elizabeth Huntington. It seems he has experienced all phases of love, platonic or sensuous, serene or cynical, conjugal or illicit. His temperament and learning gives a depth and a range of feeling to his love poems, which are a revolutionary breakaway with the prevailing notions of love. His songs are the expression of all the moods of a lover that experience and imagination have taught him to understand. Thank you for listening.